Zach Gelb can be heard nationally across the Infinity Sports Network every weekday afternoon. Comes to us Wednesdays from the WFAN studios in New York City. He is on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. He's in the Boomer and Geo studios. See the sign behind you. Did the Hurricanes, let me go college football first. Did the Hurricanes put the country on notice? Look at you, Gelby, throwing up the U. Did the Hurricanes put the country on notice Sunday night?
I wouldn't say they put the country on notice, but they showed that this is a team, especially when you look at the way that Clemson performed up against LSU, that Carson Beck is better than the way that he was treated this offseason. And he still has a lot to prove, don't get me wrong. And Mario Cristobal, that's another one. I've never understood the Mario Cristobal hatred. I understand this is a big year, and he still had more to prove at Miami, and missing the college football playoff last year with the Heisman Trophy finalist in Cam Ward was disappointing. But I look at Mario Cristobal. I remember back in 2012, he was up for the Temple job. I wanted Temple to hire him. They ended up making a good hire in Matt Rule. But this is a guy that has walked into the horseshoe and has defeated Ohio State when he was at Oregon. And now with Miami has a huge win up against Notre Dame. So it was a great start to the Miami season, but now you got to see the consistency throughout the year. And it feels like anything short of this team making the college football playoff at this rate would be disappointing.
Gelb, did the swing of opinion, LSU beating Clemson, did those swing to you? Winning, beating Notre Dame, who was supposed to, the defending, number 2 team in the nation, went to the national championship, or the story is Arch Manning not looking very good against Ohio State. What was the biggest swing? What was the biggest team for you that swung either positive or negative?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's Clemson. I still think Texas is going to be fine. I still think they'll make the college football playoff. Can Clemson still win the ACC? Absolutely. But with that being said, I had visions of Clemson getting back to where they were 5 years ago, and that was actually contending for a national championship. I understand Garrett Nussmeier is a solid quarterback. Brian Kelly is a really good coach. But you look back at that game, LSU's defense, which is vastly improved. That's been their biggest problem in the Brian Kelly era. It's vastly improved. But they look like the 85 Bears up against Clemson. And Cade Klubnik was god-awful, and he was supposed to be the most consistent or the best quarterback in the nation. So I look back at it. Clemson, I thought going into the year they could win a national championship. Now I'm just kind of all back in on Clemson saying, all right, maybe they'll win the ACC again, but when it gets to these bigger games in the playoff, I think what they're going to do up against LSU and what they did up against LSU will pop back up again.
Who would you less want to be today? Bill Belichick, after the balloon fiasco, gets routed in his UNC debut, or Kalen DeBoer, who goes on the road, 2 touchdown favorites as Alabama, number 8 in the country, gets routed, fans storm the field, and his team is ranked lower. The Alabama Crimson Tide is ranked lower, his team, than any Alabama team since 2008 as a preseason pool.
Now, I'm going to sound like Sid Rosenberg, but let me preface this by saying Kalen DeBoer is a dear, dear friend. I've known him since Fresno State. He comes on the show multiple times throughout the season when he was at Washington, now at Alabama as well. I'd rather be Bill Belichick, though, because let's be real. Urban Meyer went to the NFL for 1 year, didn't even make it a whole year, was a mitigated disaster. A few years removed, is anyone talking about Jacksonville? No. People look at Urban Meyer and they say the 2 national championships at Florida and the national championship at Ohio State, and then also all the controversy that did follow Urban Meyer. But people don't mention Jacksonville. So if Belichick goes to UNC and sucks with a team that had no expectations this year, none of us really knew what the expectations were, are people going to look back at Bill Belichick and still not refer to him as one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time? Absolutely not. Of course they're going to do so. So I look at Kalen DeBoer. He was awesome at Washington. They were in a national championship game. Last year, remember, in late September, they beat Georgia. And it looked like Jalen Milroe was going to be a Heisman Trophy finalist, and Kalen DeBoer was going to be in the running for Coach of the Year, and Nick Saban who? Now, a year later, you look how that season ended. They lost to Vanderbilt. They lost to Tennessee. I know Tennessee's a solid team. They lost to Oklahoma, and they still had a chance to make the college football playoff at the end of the season, whatever. It's a bowl game that was irrelevant where they lose to Michigan. And you start off the season with Thomas Castellanos at Florida State running his mouth And what happened was Alabama, who used to be the bully, got bullied. Alabama needed to win that game to still show that they're still Alabama, because you can't allow Castellanos to talk that smack and then kick your ass for 60 minutes.
Sid, by the way, was good friends with Pete the Boar, who was the Panthers coach for a while.
And Mario Cristobal. That's where I first knew of Mario Cristobal. I'm not kidding. What was he at FIU? And Sid would always have him on as he was sucking up to FIU.
Yeah.
Pause up.
Solana's running the Sid Rosenberg playbook all these years later.
They won as well.